Hi, a client asked me how to split his house among his 3 children without splitting the kids. That's a really shrewd parent because siblings fighting over their parents' house happens more often than you think. In this video, we're going to explore 3 good ways and 2 not so great options. Option number 1 is to sell the house and split the cash. Here's how it works. If the parent has a trust, the successor trustee will contact a broker to list, show, and sell the house. The trust will pay for all the closing costs, taxes, any lingering mortgage payments, and the proceeds will be deposited into the trust bank account. No shortcut, do not skip this step. After the proceeds has been deposited into the trust bank account, then the trust account will write 3 separate checks, 1 for each child. This is the easiest, fastest, and most common way. Option number 2 is if one of the children is interested in buying out his siblings. There are 2 ways this can be done. One is through the trust, and the other is directly to his siblings. So if he has a trust, he would write a check for the entire value of the house into the trust bank account. The trust will then write 3 separate checks for each child. So the buyer of the house will get a check back to himself for 1/3 of the value of the house. The other way is for the trust to deed the house to all 3 children. The interested party will write a check directly to his siblings for their share of the house. The other 2 siblings will do a quitclaim deed to release their ownership and claim of the house. The key with this option is for everyone to agree on the value of the house, which is not as easy as you think. One of my clients hired 2 independent brokers to assess the value of their family home, but his other siblings felt that listing the house would fetch a higher value in the open market. So there was a lot of tension, a lot of conflict, and when all the dust settles, certain family members are still not talking with each other. Option number 3, co-ownership. The trust deeds the house to all 3 children as tenants in common, not joint tenants with rights of survivorship. 3 key differences. 1, as tenants in common, any of the siblings can sell, refinance, gift away his share of the house without the consent of the other 2 owners. Second difference, if the sibling passes away, his share of the house will go to whoever is named in his estate plan. If he dies without an estate plan, his share of the house goes to his heirs. It stays within the bloodline. Whereas if they were all joint tenants with rights of survivorship, if one of them dies with or without an estate plan, his share immediately, automatically goes to the other 2 owners. Joint tenants with rights of survivorship trumps any will or trust. Don't forget that. This option of co-ownership is often just temporary, maybe waiting for the market to bounce back or waiting for a child, if he's interested, to get his financing ready to buy out the other 2 siblings. Or, there is a possibility that the siblings are attached to the house and sees it as a good rental property, so they want to co-own and keep the house as a rental property. A word of caution with co-ownership, often it causes potential future friction among the siblings. Here's an example. A client of mine was in this situation and they decided to rent the house out. Well, one of the siblings has a daughter who just graduated and happens to have gotten a job in the same area as the house, so she persuaded the other 2 siblings to rent the house to her adult daughter, who is a responsible young adult and now young professional. So the first few years went perfectly fine, but after a couple of years, the other siblings started noticing how rents in the area have really gone up. So there was a lot of discussions or arguments about what is the fair market value of this rental property. Now for the not so great options. Option number 4, your parents sell the house before they pass away. The idea is simple. They turn it to cash, which is easily divided among 3 children. But it comes at a very high cost because when you sell your house before you die, you don't get a step up in cost basis. You end up with a high capital gains tax if your house has appreciated a lot over the decades. When you transfer your house to your children, then your children get a step up in cost basis, so they pay 0 capital gains tax. Option number 5 is for a parent to add an adult child as a joint owner of their house. I have at least 2 videos in my channel about what a bad idea it is to add an adult child as a joint owner to your house. Here's a summary. You lose control. You can't do anything without the other owner's consent now. And you expose your house to your child's financial risk. And if your child decides when you pass away that since he's a legal owner, he's keeping the house to himself and not sharing it with the other children as you intend, then essentially you have disinherited your other children. This other scenario is not as common, but I want to share it with you anyway. So a client of mine put their adult child as a joint owner, and several years later, they had a big tiff with this child over something not even related to finance, but they've stopped talking, and it's been 6 years and they haven't heard from this child. So they feel that it's safer to remove the child as a joint owner of their brokerage account because they have no idea who he has married, what kind of company he keeps, or if he's relapsed into his addictions. But they can't remove him as a joint owner of their brokerage account without his consent. And they're not even talking, remember? So there it is, 3 good options and 2 bad ones for splitting an illiquid asset into divisible cash. You can apply this for other illiquid assets such as a farmland, an antique piece of art, a motorboat. Now for some closing tips, okay? They're just as important. Tip number 1, often a living trust can really be helpful when you have multiple children, especially if you have a successor trustee who's wise, who's independent. He can keep the process objective, more accountable, and less emotional. Tip number 2, communication. Before you pass away, that's so important. If you have a child who's doing the bulk of your caregiving and you want to give that child a bigger share of the house, communicate it with all the children. If any of your child has shown a great interest in keeping the house in the family, in being able to buy the other siblings out, talk about it. Don't keep secrets about your plans for the house. Surprises are for birthdays, not for finding out your parents' secret plans after they pass away. Tip number 3, above all else, avoid probate. If your property ends up in probate, not only does it take a long time, the asset's frozen, it's stressful, it's public, it's also expensive. So everybody gets a lot less. If you are new to trust or probate, I have a free webinar that's coming up. You can sign up at startestateplan.com if you're interested. I'll also provide the link below.